Welcome to this episode of the Harpreet Singh Show. In today's segment, we'll talk to Dr. Kala Singh on the importance of turban as to what is the heritage of the turban, why is the turban important, and in all the cultures all across the world, why the turban has been given significance. Let's welcome Dr. Kala Singh. Dr. Sahab, welcome to the program.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh, Harpreet Singh Ji. So today we will talk about heritage of the turban.
Right.
Especially in English, so that our English-speaking audience can also understand.
Right.
First, I'll explain what is heritage.
Right.
Heritage means inherited from the past. The turban has been inherited from thousands of years
Right.
by almost all cultures, all religions, and almost all countries. In the process of so-called modernization,
Right.
somehow the turban got replaced by hat and by skull cap.
Okay.
Nowadays, the turban is commonly associated with the Sikhs and with the Muslims.
Right.
Though the Sikhs have been in Americas for more than a century,
Right.
somehow they have not been able to popularize the turban
Right.
in Americas. The turban came more into focus in Americas after September 11 attack
Right.
on Twin Towers, with the pictures of Osama bin Laden donning a turban shown on the TVs. Only then people came to know about the turbans.
Right.
Since then, many Sikhs have been attacked by Americans mistaking them to be Muslims.
Right.
Where I will be talking about historical and spiritual significance of the turban in different cultures, religions and countries. At the same time, I will try to differentiate between Sikh and the Muslim turban.
Okay.
How to differentiate between two of them.
Right.
Because turban has been in almost all the countries, it is named differently in different countries. Like now, I would like to apologize in the beginning because my pronunciation in different cultures
Right.
might be different. Like in Muslims, what they say, it could be different, or in Christianity, what they say is different. So pardon me for that. I'll take this opportunity to ask for it.
Right.
In Persian, it is called Dulband or Sarband.
Okay.
In Turkish, it is called Turband. Italian, Spanish, and Portuguese, it is called Turbante.
Okay.
Dutch call it Turbans. Romanians call it Tulipan. French call it Turbant. English, naturally, Turban.
Right.
And ancient Egyptians called it Pizr.
Okay.
And from that Pizr, Indians, I think, call it Pagri
Right.
or Pag. And the Sikhs call it the Star. So these are different names.
So from the names, what you are telling, Dr. Sahab, this means that this the concept of wearing the turbans has been continuing through ages?
Through ages,
Okay.
thousands of years. Now, about the relevance of turban, the turban has been quoted in the Old Testament. So
Okay.
you can see that how old it is.
Right.
When we talk about the relevance of turban in the Old Testament, it is a symbol of royalty.
Okay.
It's written in Isaiah 62, 2-10. Again, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong.
Right.
For Jerusalem's sake, I will speak out. Until her light shines forth like the sunrise, her deliverance like a blazing torch, until the nations see the triumph of your right, and all kings see the glory, then you shall be called by a new name, which the Lord will pronounce with his own lips. You shall be glorious crown in the Lord's hand, a kingly turban in the hand of your God. In Exodus 39:27, it's written, they made the tunic of fine linen, woven work of Aaron and his sons, the turban of fine linen,
Okay.
the tall head dress and their bands, all of fine linen, the drawers of finely woven linen, the sash of woven linen, as the Lord had commanded Moses. In Zechariah 3:4-9, it's written, looking at Joshua dressed in dirty clothes, angel of God said, take off his dirty clothes, clothe him in splendid robes of state, and put a clean turban on his head. I have taken away your iniquity from you. It was a symbol of missionary zeal. Exodus 39, they made a rosette of pure gold
Right.
as a symbol of their holy dedication, and inscribed on it as the engraving on a seal, holy to the Lord, and they fastened it on a violet brand to fix it on the turban at the top as the Lord had commanded Moses.
Right.
In Babylonians, it was a symbol of youth and it as a symbol of strength.
Right.
In Ezekiel 23, 14 to 17, it's written, belts were around their waists, and on the heads, turbans with dangling ends. All seemed to be high officers and looked like Babylonians, natives of Chaldea. It was a symbol of justice and a symbol of charity.
Right.
Job 29:14. I had dressed myself in righteousness like a garment.
Right.
Justice for me was a cloak and turban. I was eyes for the blind and feet for the lame. Now here we finish with the Old Testament. Now with the Muslims, they're the second most oldest religion.
Right.
Now in Muslims, there are few quotes from Prophet Muhammad.
Ji.
The turban is a frontier between faith and unbelief. My community shall not fall away so long as they wear turban.
Right.
Wear turbans, for thus you will gain in generosity. At the day of the judgment, a man shall receive a light for each turn of the turban around his head. Now, there are some other hadiths in Quran,
Right.
in which, like in Bukhari Sharif, volume 1, page 33, Hazrat Amir bin Umayya ad-Damuri reports, I saw Nabi making masah of his kafeh and turban.
Okay.
Hazrat Hurath reports that Nabi addressed the people while wearing a black turban. That is in Muslim Sharif, volume 1, page 439.
Right.
Shamail Tirmizi, page 8. In another narration, it is reported, I saw Nabi wearing a black turban.
Okay.
So that means Prophet Muhammad himself was also
turban.
wearing a turban.
Right.
Now, throughout the Islamic world, the turban still continues to be used by
Right.
the monarchy in place of Quran.
Okay.
And this is a very popular hadith which has been quoted. Turbans are the crowns of the Arabs.
Right. So it is in all, we see that all across, irrespective of which region they were, the turbans were predominant and people were wearing it.
Were wearing it.
We'll continue with the discussion with more information after this short break. Once again, welcome back to the program. In today's segment, we are talking to Dr. Kala Singh, who is explaining the importance of the turban, that is, what is the heritage of the turban and why we should be proud of this particular turban. Doctor, once again, as you were telling that across various cultures, it has been worn. And
Yes.
you're talking about the Old Testament, you've talked about Holy Quran also, and the hadiths which have been written. So in the Mid-East culture also, you were talking that there are different scriptures which talk about the wearing of the turban.
About the turban. So we were talking about the turbans in Muslim world.
Right,
So the Muslim wear it in place of crown.
right,
Even the Muslim emperors who ruled over India, like Jahangir, Akbar, Shah Jahan, I got pictures of them.
right,
They all wore colorful turbans
right,
with a crest, and the turban is decorated with pearls and with diamonds
Right.
and rubies.
Okay.
This was with the royalty.
Right.
The last Mughal emperor of India, Bahadur Shah, also wore a turban.
Right, so it was a tradition of where the rubies and diamonds were embedded on it, which showed the royalty, the
Royalty.
splendor.
Yes, it was only for the royalty.
Okay.
But the general, like Sufis or Muslim Sufis, also wore turban. I've got a picture of a Muslim Sufi
Right.
wearing the turban, it's like a cloth
Okay.
of bright color. Just wore it on the head.
Right.
This is one specific thing that with the Muslim turbans, most of them, they've got a one end hanging over the left shoulder.
Okay.
That's the specific of Muslim turban. Baba Sheikh Farid,
Right.
he wore a turban. The difference between other Muslim turbans and Baba Sheikh Farid's turban is that there is no end hanging down
Okay.
on the shoulder.
Okay.
It is just tied like a rope,
Right.
and then tied around the head.
Okay.
That's all.
Right.
And Ayatollah Khomeini of Iran, he also put the same type of turban
Right.
as Baba Farid
Okay.
put it. I've got Sultan of Oman or today's monarchy
Right.
in the Middle East, they also wear colorful turban
Right.
with one end hanging down from the left shoulder.
Okay.
Osama bin Laden, he also put like tie it like a rope,
Right.
collect it and then tie it around the head with the one hand, and that is called Afghani turban.
Okay.
And during Taliban time, in fact, they in Afghanistan they made an edict that everybody, all the children, everybody, all males have to wear the turban.
Right.
So I've got a picture of young boys going to school with their beautiful turbans. They
Right.
look very very handsome. And then there is a Baloch Sardar.
Okay.
Baloch turban is again same like Muslims put,
Right.
Afghans put, but the difference is that in Baloch turban, both ends are hanging down.
Okay. So it's
You
not
know-
just one end on the left hand shoulder.
Yeah,
it's both
it is.
the
It
sides.
is. It is both
Okay.
hands. And there is another specific turban in Muslims. They have got a cap called Kalan Suwa cap.
Okay.
It is a bright colored, multicolored cap. It is put on the top of the head, on the
Right.
crown, and then the turban is woven around it,
Okay.
with one end hanging down on the left shoulder
Right.
and the other hand going up.
Up. Okay.
Yeah.
Coming out of the turban.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And then there is another type of, I won't say it as a turban, but it is a head dress.
Okay.
It was put by Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat.
Right.
Yeah, it is called kafia.
Okay.
So kafia, if I'm pronouncing it wrong, I'm sorry. So kafia is what Palestinians put.
Right.
Is a black and white colored, and kafia which Jordanians and Iraqis put.
Right.
It is a red and white colored. So by the color of the kafia, you can see that you can make out that which region of Middle East people belong to.
Right.
Yeah. Now we come to Indian turbans. After talking about all those things.
Right. So India also has had a rich heritage, and there have been various states, and the people have been wearing turbans all across, irrespective
all.
whether from the north to the east, to the west, to the south. Everywhere the turban has had its own significance.
But one must take into consideration that though it was worn in all the states, but it was reserved only for high caste and rich aristocrats.
Okay.
Those people who belong to lower castes and lower classes, they were not allowed to wear the turbans.
Okay.
And when Muslims started ruling over India,
Ji.
they banned Indians wearing the turban, and it was replaced by cap. It was as a sign of slavery.
Okay.
Only those people who worked in the royal court were allowed to wear the turbans,
Right.
Hindus. Now here, only the Sikhs, they continued wearing turbans
Right.
in spite of ban by the Muslim rulers.
Right.
And this is not the only thing they banned. They banned even Indians riding a horse,
Okay.
and Sikhs continued riding the horses.
Right.
There's another thing which they banned, which is not related to the turban, is for the women.
Ji.
In fact, what tradition they started at that time was that all Indian women, Indian girls,
Right.
must wear a nose ring
Right.
when they were young. And this nose ring is a sign of slavery.
That's right.
Sikh women continued not to wear nose ring.
Right.
And then this the other tradition which they started was that when this young girl gets into puberty, she has to be taken to the local Muslim ruler
Right.
for deflowering. So once he deflowers this young girl, he replaces the nose ring with a nose stud.
Okay.
That is a symbol that now this girl has been deflowered by the ruler.
Right.
Now she can get married.
Okay.
But in Sikh women, even at that time, refused to wear either the stud
Right.
or the nose ring.
So it was a revolt against the kind of atrocities which were being committed, and
Committed,
the
yeah.
Sikhs took a bold stand against
Boldest-
this, and they continued fighting this thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I have got a picture of Maratha king Shivaji wearing a beautiful multicolored turban.
Right.
Again, decorated with pearls and diamonds and a crest.
Right.
And Tipu Sultan wearing a turban.
Right.
And a nobleman of Mysore wearing a turban.
Right.
Rajput Rathors, they also wore turbans.
Ji.
Kachwaha Rajputs, beautiful multicolored turban.
Right.
but the turban is again just woven around the head.
Okay.
And Swami Vivekanand,
Right.
he also donned Kavi turban.
Right.
And Tilak of Maharashtra, he also wore turban.
Right.
Madan Mohan Malviya,
Right.
a good picture, he also wore a turban. And there is a pink turban of an Indian state, a red turban of Rajasthan,
Right.
and Karnataka farmer
Right.
wearing a turban, yellow turban and Marwadi turban. So these are the different type of turbans.
Right. So
And
these were all across India. There were different types of turbans, how they were wearing
At
it,
the
and it was
end-
different.
Yeah, at the end is the festive turban of Punjab.
Right, and definitely we would like to know much more in details about the importance of the Sikh turban, and this we will discuss in our next program. Thank you very much, Dr. Sir, for bringing this issue forward about the heritage of the turban and how it has influenced our thoughts and how it has been worn not only in India, not only by the Sikhs, but all across the world. So we'll continue with the discussion next week. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Welcome to this episode of the Harpreet Singh Show. In today's segment, we are going to talk to Dr. Kala Singh, who is talking to us about the heritage of the turban as to what is the importance of the turban. And all over the world, the turban has been used by people. In our previous episode, we had talked about the various kinds of turbans which were worn by the Muslims, and even in the Old Testament, he had given some understanding as to it is written over there also the importance of turban. So last time we had reached India and we were talking about the kinds of turbans which are worn over there. So let's continue with the discussion. And today we are talking in English because we want the mainstream people as well as the youngsters also to know that this turban is very important and the significance of this turban is not just related to the Sikhs only. Let's continue with the discussion with Dr. Kala Singh. Dr. Sir, welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you, Harpreet Singh ji.
Ji.
So let's talk about the turban of Punjab. You know, Punjab turban, good old days, it was called Festival Turban of Punjab.
Okay.
Used mostly during Bhangra time, and it is used nowadays also.
Right.
And it's a bright colored turban, mostly of pink color or red color.
Right.
Just woven around the head. The same type of Kalanshua type of turban, but without a cap of Kalanshua,
Right.
with one end hanging down from the left and other going up, and
Right.
the one which end going up is in Punjabi it's called turla.
Right.
So I don't know what is.
It's a turla only.
Yeah. And nowadays,
Right.
even Hindus wear turban on special occasions.
Right. Especially during the marriages. and all
Especially
that,
during
yeah.
the marriages, the bridegroom always wears a turban, which
Right.
is already ready-made turbans sold in the market,
Right.
and
Just
they put it on the head.
Yeah.
I have got a picture of Aishwarya Rai marrying Abhishek Bachchan,
Right.
and Abhishek putting a turban,
Right.
and with the big B, with his close family members, and Ambani
Well,
brothers.
the big B is claiming to be the descendant of Guru Nanak Dev, the 18th descendant.
With
So he has to wear the turban.
Yeah, with the Ambani brothers,
Right.
wearing a saffron colored turban during Abhishek's marriage.
Right.
So now let's talk about tribal turbans.
Okay.
And here I will talk about not turbans also, but the headdresses also.
Okay.
You know, because in the tribals they were putting on the headdresses also.
Right.
So I've got a turban called Rumal of Muria turban. It's a big turban and well decorated with feathers
Okay.
and with pearls. In fact, all the tribal turbans are decorated with feathers and with pearls.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have got Turai headgear of Halaki tribe. Beautiful turban,
Right.
fantastic. And then the Native Americans had dresses made mostly of the feathers.
Okay.
And socks, buffalo headdress, fantastic, beautiful turban. And Pawnee chief's turban. I've got Hoopa flicker headdress, beautiful.
Right.
And Seminole cloth turban. It's a multicolored turban with a big feather
Right.
on top of it. Aztec and Maya headdresses,
Right.
beautiful, and African turban.
Right.
African nomadic tribes also wore turbans because nomadic tribes, they spend most of the time in the desert.
Right.
Their turban is that they cover the whole of the face,
Right.
including neck, with only eyes, a small slit
Right.
in the eyes to see. This turban is mostly to keep the sand away.
Absolutely, because
Yeah.
in the deserts it's a major problem of sand coming.
Yeah, and ancient Egyptians, they put head dresses. I've got
Right.
two of them, beautiful. And these days, Egyptians also put beautiful multicolored head dresses.
Right.
And again, most of them are to keep the sand away.
Okay.
It is. Then we got Turkish ornamental squash turban.
Okay.
Turkish have been putting on the turbans from time immemorial.
Okay.
They are big turbans,
Okay.
and most of them are shaped with the different types of fruits
Okay.
or vegetables.
Okay.
The picture I have got is the squash
Okay.
turban.
Right.
I was surprised when I saw this one. Even the Chinese philosopher Confucius,
He also wore a turban.
he also wore turban. I've got
Right.
two pictures of him, and turban has been in Europe for a long time. There is a picture in the National Art Gallery of London
Okay.
with the caption "A Man in Turban," and it is 1433 AD
Wow.
by Jan van Eyck. So
Okay.
that means in 1433 AD.
Right.
Before that, also the turban was there
Right.
in Europe. Now, we mostly think that the turbans are worn by the men, but ladies have also been wearing turban.
Okay.
I have got pictures of European women wearing a turban, beautiful multicolored turban.
Right.
That is a European woman. I've got another European woman picture wearing turbans.
Right.
Then headdress have been worn by Muslim women also.
Right.
There is a quotation in Quran. The Quran instructs Muslims, both men and women, to dress in a modest fashion.
Right.
The following verses are generally interpreted as applying to all Muslim men and women. It is in Surah An-Nur, Ayah 31, states, "And say to the believing women that they cast down their looks and guard their private parts,
Ji.
and do not display their ornaments except what appears thereof, and let them wear their head covering khimars over their bosoms,
Ji.
and not display their ornaments except to their husbands, their fathers, their husbands' fathers, their sons, their husbands' sons, their brothers or their brothers' sons or their sisters' sons,
Right.
or their women, or the slave whom their right hands possess,
Right.
or male servants free of physical needs, or small children who have no sense of the shame of sex, and that they should not strike their feet in order to draw attention to their hidden ornaments.
Right.
And O ye believers, turn ye altogether towards Allah, that ye may attain bliss. Quran 24:31. This has been interpreted differently by different people I have talked to.
Right.
But I have got burqas worn by Muslim
women,
women.
yeah.
I've got a Afghani burqa. The Afghani burqa is from head to toe,
Right.
even covering the eyes.
Right.
The eyes are only one can see through the netting.
Right.
So this is a type of Afghani burqa. So I've got another type of burqa in which it covers the whole head and the whole body,
Right.
but the eyes are open. There
Okay.
is no netting, but the eyes are open. Then I've got another hijab in which the whole face is open.
Right.
So it is different interpretations, and different type of women put different type of headdresses.
Right. So, Doctor, while women also have been wearing headdresses, as you said, the turbans, and in the Islamic world, the women cover their faces by hijab or by long, coats and everything. Let's go for a small break, come back, and again continue with the discussion about the other various forms of turbans which can be found everywhere in the world. Once again, welcome back to the program. Before the break, we have been talking about the importance of the turban and the heritage of the turban. And it's not just confined to the men only, women also have been wearing headdresses and, of course, the turbans, as well as they've been covering themselves with cloth. Let's continue with the discussion and know a little bit more from Dr. Kala Singh as to where other places also we can find people wearing turbans. Nirav Saab.
Harpreet Singh, we were talking about women also putting head dresses or turbans.
Right.
Even in Malaysia, I found it's called the star again.
Okay.
Because we call it the star Sikhs.
Right.
But there also in Malaysia, they call it the star of Bajau.
Okay.
And women put on turban there.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful multicolored turban.
Right.
Then the tribal women also, they had been putting on head dresses.
Right.
We can call it a turban or we can call it a headdress, but it's a multicolored cloth.
Okay.
With decorated with feathers.
Right.
You know, and Vishram bridal head dress. It is also a cloth wearing on the head, decorated with pearls.
Right.
Beautiful, this one. And then Eskimo dance head dress.
Okay.
Now this we are talking about in other places.
Right.
Even Sikh women have been putting
Right, the star.
the star.
They've been covering their head. Right.
There are few women. In fact, it has been made more popular by American women Sikhs.
Right.
You know, they put white colored headdress. I've
Right.
got 3 pictures of them. One is putting a circular type of the star.
Right.
Other one is a conical type.
Okay.
And the third one is the star and a chunni on top of that.
Okay.
Because most of our Sikh women,
Right.
they put a chunni, that is called a scarf.
Right.
You know, but there are even not only American Sikh women,
Ji.
there are Punjabi Sikh women also.
Right, who cover their head.
Who put the star
Right.
and put a chunni on top of that.
Right. So basically, from all what we have talked today is it's not just the men who wear the turbans. There have been many instances of women also all over the world where they have been wearing the star. Of course, this the type of wearing has been different. Every area has its own unique style whereby people wear the turbans.
Yes.
But the tradition has been continuing since ages, as you have already told. So now, but what we are finding today is that the star or head coverings are going away. We are going away from this. It's not considered to be modern if you are covering your head, and especially if a woman covers her head. What do you have to say about? Are you concerned about this? Even among the Sikhs also, our younger generation is going away from wearing the turbans.
As I said in the beginning, you know, with the so-called modernization, the turban has disappeared not only by the religious people,
Right.
because it was like in the Old Testament, it was it is a sense of prophethood.
Right.
The religious people, even monarchs, you know.
Right.
But now even the religious people in different religions,
No, they have also left.
they have given up turbans and they have replaced it with a hat.
Right.
Or like in the Jews, it has been replaced by a hat, and even in the Muslim world or in the Christianity, it has been replaced by a skull cap.
Right.
There are many Muslim religious leaders who are and monarchs who are still putting the turban.
Right.
You know, and their turban is very bright colored,
Right,
multicolored.
but,
You know,
but again, the
they're
question is
putting-
with this modernity thing coming in, we are finding at many places this tradition is finishing off.
is finishing down.
And we hope that this tradition continues, that the people, wherever country you have mentioned where turbans were being worn, that pristine glory, what we have talked about, it still comes back.
It will come. We hope it will come back.
Absolutely.
You know, because it's a crown.
Right.
It's a spiritual crown.
Right.
You know, given to us by the God, or we say from the Old Testament.
Right.
It is a spiritual crown for us.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saab. And next week we would like to talk about the Sikh, the star, the Sikh turban. What is unique and why is it important for a Sikh to wear a turban? We'll discuss about this next week. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome to this episode of the Harpreet Singh Show. In today's segment, we're going to talk to Dr. Kala Singh, who in the past 2 weeks has told us about the heritage of the turban as to what is the importance of the turban. In the previous episodes, he mentioned that turban is not just confined to India. it has been worn all across the world in different cultures, and not just the men but women also have worn it. But today we would like to focus upon the Sikh turban. Why is it important for a Sikh to wear a turban? And over the years, what are we finding, and especially why our younger generation is not wanting to wear the turban? Let's discuss this issue with Dr. Kala Singh. Welcome to the program, Dr. Sir.
Yes, Harpreet Singh ji, thank you very much. About the Sikh turban, it is called Dastar,
Right.
as we told before. And we have our holy book called Guru Granth Sahib.
Ji.
There is no much mention about turban in the holy book. There is only just a mention,
Right.
like the fifth Guru said in 74:9 that I am a wrestler, I belong to the Lord of the world, I met with the Guru and I have tied a tall plumed turban.
Right.
Like this, there is some of them quotations like that one on page 659.
Okay.
You make your hair beautiful and wear a stylish turban on your head. It's about the God.
Right.
You know how handsome is your turban and how sweet is your speech. Bhagat Namdev 727. You know, but otherwise there is no much mention about this. But the pictures which were drawn by the painters of our gurus, though our gurus' pictures are not available, but it is this is how they portrayed whoever made the painting. Guru Nanak Dev Ji putting a turban just like Baba Farid.
Okay.
The only difference is that the Baba Farid's turban was put on like a rope around the head, but here Guru Nanak's turban is properly put one on top of
Right.
each
The
other.
imagination of the painter is different.
Is
in
different,
this.
that's
Right.
all. And Guru Gobind Singh Ji putting on a turban and like royalty being decorated with pearls and with a crest,
Right.
you know, and all the big Sikhs who were after Guru Gobind Singh, like Baba Banda Singh Bahadur, I've got a picture wearing a turban. Maharaja Ranjit Singh wore a turban,
Right.
and in his court all the Sikhs wore turbans.
Right.
And Sardar Jassa Singh Ahluwalia wearing a turban, Sardar Jassa Singh Ramgarhia wearing a turban.
Right.
Then there is a turban worn by the Nihang Singhs. They were the warrior Sikhs of Guru Gobind Singh. But their turban is different than any other turbans which we wear these days. It is called Dhamala. So there is one called Dhamala 1, in which there is it is made of two portions of the cloth.
Okay.
One is called Chand Tora, and then on top of that is the other one. So this turban is a big turban,
Right.
and very good for warriors. Then there is a Dhamala 2, which is without a Chantora.
Okay.
And then there is a Dhamala 3, which is a simpler version of both of them.
Okay.
That is Dhamala 3. And then I got a picture of a warrior Nihang Singh with his all fighting artifacts with him.
Right.
You know, his turban has got about 6 or 7 type of fighting equipment with him on the
Right.
turban,
Right.
with his sword,
Right.
with his bow and arrow, and with another one around his
Right. It's fully armed with all the,
fully armed.
Right.
This shows that at that time, Guru Gobind Singh's time, how the warrior Sikhs were going to the war,
Right.
carrying all of them with them, and turban was also used as a to carry
Right.
the weapons. And then what we have is sometimes people ask that at what age
the turban is to
Sikh
wear.
people start for wearing
Right.
turban. The turban for a young child, they put a cloth on top of the head. It's called a patka.
Right.
I've got a picture of my own son, Sumail Singh, when he was young, putting a patka. And there is no specific age when to start the turban.
Right.
It is when the child is big enough to wear a turban.
Right.
Then now again it is not mandatory, but it is done that there is a
small
function
ceremony,
held called the Starbandi.
Right.
At that time, the maternal uncle brings the turban, and but if the maternal uncle is not around, then
Anybody can get it.
anybody.
It's not an issue. It's not a major issue in
Yes,
this,
here it
yeah.
is me putting the turban on my son,
Right.
and then I got a picture of him along with his sister wearing a chunni,
Right.
and he Sumail Singh wearing a turban.
Right.
You know, this is a typical. Not the Sikh turban is different from the Muslim turbans. That
Right.
it is a conical turban. Muslim turban is a circular turban,
Right.
or like a rope with one end hanging down over the left shoulder.
Okay.
Sikh turban is a conical turban put very meticulously with one cloth
Overlapping the other.
over, and then on the forehead
Right.
there is a cloth called 50.
Right.
Again, it is not a mandatory, but it
But the
is
basic
to-
idea is
to
so
keep
that the hair,
to keep the
you know,
hair.
the hair are not seen.
Yeah, so I have
Right.
put the picture of my own son when he became adult, and he's putting a turban.
Right.
Typical conical turban, and their turbans are of different types.
Right.
I have got six the stars, about 5-6 people wearing different type of
Different styles are
of
there.
star. Again, there is another type of turban which Sikhs wear. It is a circular type of turban,
Right.
like worn by Guru Nanak Dev Ji's picture, which is somehow those people who consider themselves to be more religious saints,
Right.
they put a circular turban. Like our Deras, Babas, Sadhs,
Right.
I've got a picture of one of Baba called Ranjit Singh, Tadringawala. You know, so he's putting
This turban is different. It's a round turban,
yeah.
basically.
So when some of us put this type of turban and go to America, that is when people have difficulty in differentiating
Right.
that it is a Muslim or
Or
it
a
is
Sikh.
or it is a Sikh turban.
Right.
Now this turban, as I said, that has been lost over the years. Even Sikhs had to fight a lot to
Right.
keep the turban. They have to undergo atrocities. You know, I have got picture of fifth Guru Arjan Dev Ji.
Ji.
He was put on a hot plate with a hot sand put on his head,
Right.
and then boiled in a pot of boiling water, and then being thrown into the river. And that's why he obtained martyrdom on 16th of June 1606, just to keep the turban.
Right.
Then I've got a picture of Guru Tegh Bahadur, the 9th Guru. He was beheaded in Delhi
Right.
on 24th of November, just to keep the turban on. I got, before he was martyred, his Sikhs like Pai Sati Das, he was burnt alive
Right.
in Delhi. Pai Mati Das was cut into half with a seesaw.
Right.
Pai Dayalaji was boiled in a boiling hot water.
Right.
Water just to keep the turban. The two young sons of Guru Gobind Singh, Joravar Singh 9 years, Fateh Singh 6 years, they were buried alive.
Right.
You know, with a
Because they refused to change their faith,
with the
and that
faith.
is why they were buried behind the wall.
So,
Right.
and by Mani Singh, he was martyred by being cut, his body cut by joint.
Right.
By Taru Singh, his scalp was removed.
Right.
Rather than removing the hair, his scalp was removed by the official cobbler.
Right, because Pai Taru Singh had refused to allow not even a single hair from his body to be
yes.
taken out.
And
So that's a very important history, Dr. Saab, what you're talking about. But the problem is right now that this information what we have given today, probably the youngsters are not being are not being told, I would say, or they are not understanding the significance. And turban is just considered to be just a piece of cloth worn on the head, but they're not understanding that what was behind this turban. And definitely we'll go for a small break and come back and talk about this issue as to how the importance of turban can be ingrained in their mind, and they also start wearing the turbans. Once again, welcome back to the program. We have been talking about the importance of turban, and in today's segment, Dr. Kala Singh has been telling us what is the importance of the Sikh turban, the kind of turbans which are worn by the Sikhs, and especially in today's world, why is it that the importance of the turban is not being felt by the youngsters, and what needs to be done? Let's learn a little bit more from Dr. Kala Singh. Ji, Doctor, so what do you feel personally as to how the importance of the turban can be ingrained in the minds of the youngsters also, that this has come with a lot of sacrifices? The pictures which you showed before the break, our ancestors, our gurus, they were firm in their faith, and turban was an integral part of them. But today we ourselves are just leaving it out.
in fact, we are also living, but before we go into that one, let's say that turban still Sikhs are still having problems wearing the turban in the modern world also.
Okay.
We are lucky to be in Canada, where the turban is officially recognized.
Right.
You know, we can wear anywhere. But in Europe, still, like in France.
Oh yeah, it's a major issue.
It's a major issue. I have got a picture of small children in Delhi.
Right.
You know,
Protesting.
rallying.
Yeah.
You know, to put the turban.
And
It is despite the fact
Right.
that Maharaja Ranjit Singh, he had Europeans
Right.
in his coat.
No, but even during the World Wars, also the kind of contribution which was done by the Sikhs in France is well known. So,
Yes.
history also, in history, there are many instances where the Sikh soldiers fought for the people of France. But another thing which you talked about, that we are proud to live in Canada, definitely. And another achievement of this present government has been that they have allowed the Sikhs to wear turbans all across the Canadian High Commissions all over the world,
All
which
over
is
the
again
world.
a big
Yes.
contribution.
And what you said about Sikhs fought in France, I got a postcard with me. It shows Sikh regiment
Right.
marching on the road
Right.
in France, and the caption is "Gentlemen of India marching to chasten German hooligans." It is written both in French
French and English.
and in English.
Right.
So even Sikhs fought in Canada during First World War.
Right.
There were 2 in Toronto, 3 in Smiths Falls, 3 in Vancouver, 1 in Winnipeg, 1 in Montreal, 8 served in overseas, and 2 were killed in action,
Right.
and 1 died or later of his wounds. And we have got a private Buchan Singh,
Right.
who fought here, and he died at the age of 25 years.
Right.
And he got injured twice in the battle.
Right.
And I got a picture of his buried in Kitchener.
Right.
And we had Captain Kasur Singh. I got a picture of him. And the problem is that our youngsters are being not wearing turban these days. We can call it that we have not been able to educate them
Right.
more about the importance of turban and how much atrocities we have to go through.
Right.
So somehow it is our fault also.
So it's
And,
probably identity crisis also.
yeah, identity crisis also. And talking in English about turban is one of the way we are trying to reach
The youngsters.
the youngsters through the television. The other question which people ask is the color of the turban.
Right.
That you people wear different type of colors. Does it have any significance? In fact, most of the time it has got no significance. We
Right.
try to match the color of the turban with our necktie or with
Right.
our jacket or with our shirt. But like most East Africans and American Sikhs, these white Sikhs, they put white color
Right.
turban. I don't know what reason.
Right.
And then there is a religio-political party in India called Kali Party.
Right.
They put dark blue, and at that time it was that their standard is as high as sky.
Right.
At that time, and when Sikhs go on a rally, like on a morcha, they normally put a
Kesari.
saffron
Right,
colored.
right. But again, it has no significance. We have given those meanings to it. Otherwise,
Yes.
from our historical perspective, we cannot say that one color is better than the other.
Than the
It
other.
is your own choice.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So let's come to the importance of the turban.
Right.
Turban for a Sikh and even for a Muslim is a crown.
Right.
Is a spiritual crown and a sign of respect.
Right.
So to put a hand on somebody's turban
Right.
is like disrespecting.
Attacking a person's
Attacking the
integrity,
person, it is a disrespect.
Right.
Then there is another one which I do not 100% believe in it, but it is one of the importance.
Right.
So it's my duty to let the people know that the top center of the head is called crown chakra.
Right.
So they say that it's a focal point of energy.
Right.
When in a holy place, we get grace of the God in the form of energy. So to retain that energy, we cover our heads. That's why priests in the church put a skull cap,
Right.
or in the Jews they put a hat. What I say is, if it is true, then that means all of us should cover our head.
Right.
We are getting the grace of the God every time, everywhere, not only in a holy place, but the grace is coming everywhere.
Every time and
every
everywhere.
time.
Absolutely.
Then another another importance is that like to drive motorcycle or bicycle,
Right.
we have to protect our head. So if it is a turban,
Right.
it is tightly put, it will not fall down.
Right, and it
And,
acts as a helmet, and there are
as
many.
a-
And
as a-
again,
as
this
a
is a
helmet.
battle also going on at many
Yes.
places where Sikhs are not allowed, and in some places some are
Yes,
allowed. Yeah.
even the soldiers they put a cap.
Right.
But turban is better than a cap at
Well,
at
but
all
again, the
times.
Sikhs have been allowed all over the world to wear their turbans in the battleground also, and
Yeah.
there are many instances of pictures where we have seen the Sikh bravely fighting in their turbans, not removing the turbans and wearing the hard hats.
A hard hat,
Right.
yeah, yeah. Even we see that when it is scorching hot,
Right.
people put a hat, or when it's very cold, they put a cap.
Right.
But turban is good for both type of seasons.
Right.
Every time, so it protects the head from the scorching heat.
Absolutely, and of course, Dr. Saab, towards the end, the disheveled hair are maintained by wearing a turban,
Turban.
and it is an integral part of the Sikhs, and we hope that this legacy of which has been continued for ages is continued in our youngsters also, and they understand the significance and importance of turban, that it's not just a plain piece of cloth which one wears around the head. There is a lot of tradition, there is a lot of significance attached to it. It is a pleasure understanding all this from your side. Thank you very much and best wishes.
Thank you, sir.